Book Impressions, Crux by Gabriel Tallent. So this is the first probably quarter of the book that I've read. I just want to say a few words. Unfortunately, it's another activist book. It's getting a bit tiring. I guess I'm picking these books up from the Berkeley bookstore, and that's what you get. Nevertheless, I think it's interesting to engage with this side of the spectrum because I'm so much opposed to it, and it's part of, I think, a healthy discourse to listen to the other side. Not that they would listen to me, but that's a different story. Now, this is very upsetting. I mean, so far the book has been extremely upsetting because it's hitting a nerve that I personally despise the most, and that is when people use something like sports and athletics as a veneer for social activism. I mean, that's almost the most perverse thing you can do. And that comes from an athlete. I think sports and athleticism is a pure contest for people's abilities to compete in a pure and accomplished way. And to use this for social activism, like, let's say in this book, Dan is using climbing as a as a message, as a sort of a punk message against the establishment. Like, he has a point. Like all these people have a point. Yes, there is a hierarchy in society, but replacing this hierarchy with a new hierarchy or with anarchy, that's not the solution. So that's number one. I think using a sport like climbing as a veneer for social activism is just not acceptable. The same way you can't use, let's say, Kylian Mbappe is using his excellence in sports as a veneer for his activism in France. And the result is that he hasn't won anything ever since. I think, go woke, go broke works in business as much as it works in politics. Once your mind is set to this level of arrogance that you think you have something to say about social order while you're climbing a wall, which is a great endeavor. And I think you should focus on that. You should do great things as a climber. You should compete. You should win. You should challenge yourself. But to use this as an escape, or like I said, veneer for social activism, is just disrespectful to the sport. I think the other thing I want to say here is that the character of Tama is really unfortunate. I mean, I don't know if Gabriel is trying to make a point here, but this type of unlovable, sexually confused person that ends up being gay or maybe not gay, who knows what she is. I mean, it's just, I don't think that gay people are like that. Maybe some, a small fringe of lunatics are sociopaths. But when you read this, you kind of feel like every lesbian is like that, and that's not true. So I think, look, maybe the author is gonna close this circle in a skillful, artistic way, or maybe not. That's up to them. But I just feel, gay people aren't bad people. They're not sociopaths. They're not attacking people on the streets or in classrooms, insulting them. And maybe they take some hits from society, and that's not okay, and they have the right to defend themselves. But there's better and worse ways to defend themselves. And I think so far this character, Tama, is nothing short of a sociopath. So far I'm very sort of negatively disposed to the book. I'm still reading it because it's a good book. I mean, a book that provokes you, that makes you feel angry, is a good book. So, kudos to Gabriel for that. I think it's worth a read. It's well written. The other thing I want to say, actually, and this is really good, and this is why I like the book, and this is actually, by the way, why I picked it up, is because the author is insinuating sort of a metaphor of climbing for life. Like, how do you solve problems? How do you get from A to B in a very difficult way? That's what climbing is. And I think I have huge respect for the sport of climbing. You expose yourself to nature, you're dealing with gravity, there's very little help, you can use tools. So it's a very nice metaphor for what we do here at Orange Capital Partners, which is we invest in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices with large impact. These are engineering problems. We've spoken about this before, that solving problems, dealing with difficult problems, technical problems that have engineering solutions and that make life better for people. Like that is the ultimate goal. Now, climbing doesn't necessarily make life better for people unless you do it maybe Alex Honnold way, which is very inspiring, and that's very that's super laudable. But I think every climber actually is an Alex Honnold, because every time I see a climber, I get inspired. I think it's an inspiring sport, and I think Gabriel's using this sport as a metaphor for the difficulty of life, and also for the ability to solve those difficulties with step-by-step solutions. In climbing, actually, the moves are called problems, and there's solutions to the problems. So it's a very engineering type mindset, and I think that's very encouraging and very inspiring. So I think, again, my first critique was to use climbing as a veneer for social activism is insofar despicable, because it is such an inspiring sport. And let it be alone. Go climb, go do your thing. If you want to get political, if you want to change the world, then do it somewhere else. Become a businessman, create something valuable for society. Or if you think politics is the way, not that I think as a politician you have even the chance to do something right, because politics is corrupt. The only way you can actually improve life is through entrepreneurship and engineering. So choose one of those two, and then deliver, instead of doing this misappropriating a beautiful sport like climbing for your social activism.